At this time, please silence your cell phones and be advised this proceedings are being recorded. For those physically present in the council chambers who desire to address the City Council during the meeting, please complete a request to speak form. They're available at the front entrance of the council chamber and present it to the city clerk. Speakers physically present and are participating in VIE Zoom will be called upon at appropriate time, and each person is allowed 3 minutes speaking time. So I'm going to call the meeting in order, convene at the regular meeting, the City Council for Tuesday, February 14, 2023 at 6 p.m. Invocation be given by Rabbi Cohn, and the Pledge of Allegiance be given by Matt and Representative Pete Aguilar's office, and also a U.S. veteran, Army veteran, I had to say that. And will you please join me for the invocation and remain standing for the pledge.
Though we might express our faiths differently and must respect those whose beliefs are other than our own, let us affirm our common hopes for this city and its people. May the women and men elected to lead this city never waver from being people of integrity, compassion, and more than a little bit of humility. May those who work for this city and its various departments be safe as they do their work. May the people of this city be blessed with streets free of violence, homes in which good values are taught and lived, schools where knowledge is pursued and treasured, recreational facilities where people of all ages can experience renewal, and a city where homelessness is ended. May the members of this council have the wisdom to build on past achievements, the humility to learn from past mistakes, the courage to think new thoughts and to consider new ideas. May the aims they set for themselves and the means they choose to implement them be done in a manner that is just and equitable. By the example they set and the policies they adopt, may the welfare of this city of Grand Terrace be advanced. And to this let us say, Amen.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for having me. Again, my name is Matthew Tovar with the Office of Congressman Aguilar. Please place your hand over your heart and join me in the pledge to our great country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you, Matt. Okay, AB 2449 disclosures announce if there's any member of the legislative body participating remotely. Just cause of emergency circumstances, we don't have anybody participating remotely. Madam City Clerk, could we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Henderson?
Present.
Councilmember Robles?
Present.
Mayor Hesse?
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem, Councilmember Allen, Mayor Pro Tem Wilson and Councilmember Allen are absent.
Right,
Mayor, you have quorum.
Thank you. So reordering additionals or removal of items from the agenda, do we have any?
Yes, we'd like to remove item number 8 and under closed session, item number 3, please.
All right, removing item 8 and then closed session 3. All right. Well, tonight we have special presentations, introduction of new employees by Senior Management Analyst Michelle. Would you like to come up and introduce us to our new family members here?
Good evening, Mayor, Council members. My name is Michelle Fuentes, and I'm the Senior Management Analyst. And I'd like to introduce a few of our newer employees and allow them to say a few words. Judith Garcia is our Public Works Department Secretary, and she's come to us from AT&T. Tabitha Bearfield, she's one of our maintenance workers, and she has experience in hospitality and customer service. And Vicki Thompson, she's our bus driver, and she comes to us from the city of Redlands. And I'd like to express what a great asset these employees are to the city of Grand Terrace. Judith?
Thank you.
Good evening. Mayor, council members. My name is Judith Garcia. I am the Department Secretary for Public Works. I grew up in La Puente. I recently moved to the Inland Empire less than a year ago. I am happy to be here and I look forward to working with you all. Thank you.
Hello, good evening. My name is Tabitha Bearfield, born and raised in Riverside, California. I'm very excited to be a part of this team and possibly community, as me and my fiance are planning on becoming Grand Terrace residents as early as this spring. I'm very grateful for the opportunity and to bring a smiling, welcoming face to the community. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name is Vicki Thompson, and I'm the new senior bus driver for the city of Grand Terrace. It's an honor, and I am so excited to bring this well-needed service back to our senior bus program in the city of Grand Terrace. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Any council members like to say anything? Welcome to the board.
I'd like to compliment the staff members who recruited and selected these individuals. Very, very impressive. Welcome to the city of Grand Terrace.
Yeah, I had the same sentiment that whoever recruited these folks did a really good job. It's a nice team to look at. Please stay with us and welcome. Looking forward to having you serve this community.
Yes, welcome to the family, and yes, please stay. You're on a 20-year contract. You can't leave. We'll be using the bus for the next cruise night too, so just welcome. I met every one of you, and it's you know, it's a blessing. So, and you have a good team, and you know, good chain of command, and a good family to work in. So it's what you make out of it, and have fun. So thank you. Oh, I think you get paid overtime tonight too for being here. Do they? I don't know. You guys have a blessed night. Thank you. All right. Next on the agenda is a homeowner's landscape recognition by our senior code enforcement officer. She does more than just give tickets, people. She looks at people's yards and
That's the yucky part. So good evening. I'm very excited to be back. On January 24th City Council meeting, the council members voted from the list of finalists for the winners of the city's first semi-annual landscape recognition award. This award is given to residents who have yards that add beauty and whimsy to their neighborhoods. We appreciate all of your hard work and efforts to show both a pride of ownership and individuality to all of our residents in our beautiful city. The three categories are best use of color, most creative, and overall most aesthetically pleasing. The winners tonight are receiving a pin, a certificate signed by our mayor and council members, a $100 gift card to Home Depot, and a custom-made lawn sign to display in their front yard. When the winners' names are called, can you please come forward and receive your award? And this was so fun. I just want to say thank you for allowing me to do this. I loved it. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. You said you love doing this and giving out awards.
Yes. I really enjoyed it. It was fun. We got to drive her. Well, what?
Did you scare anybody when you pulled up to the front of their house?
Always.
Yeah.
And I always
you just say, enjoying your color or something.
I always have to jump out and wave. It's okay.
They hid their dogs and everything.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you have Christina Valencia. Is she here tonight?
Yes. The winner for overall aesthetically pleasing is Christine Valencia.
Is she here present tonight?
No.
How about Jesus Nunez? Is he here?
Yes. So the winner for most creative is Jesus Nunez.
All right. And Scott Baxter, is he here? Yes, we are. Okay.
Okay.
Well, I know them.
The winner for best use of color over there on Orangewood is Scott Baxter.
Yeah.
And I would just like to point out, I have to go off script here. I love the yellow house at the end of Orangewood. I love making a U-turn on that street. It's the happiest house. I love it.
Because they have their grandkids running around there, that's why.
I love it. And Jesus Nunez, I used to stop and take a gander at all, there's so many things to look at in their yard. It's awesome, and it's all cool and very imaginative.
Okay.
So
And
where
the
would you
overall
like to-
aesthetic, what was that? What was that
Aesthetically
pleasing?
pleasing. That was, we went for just an overall look of pride of ownership, maintenance, originality, and landscaping placement.
So is that where you drive your car up and take a break at? Just
No,
automatically?
I come back here.
All right, well, we'll have the council come up and, well, Scott and Jesus was here, is that, or was it, okay. We'll have council members come on up, and we'll stand here and hand out the awards.
Okay, so can we have the Baxters and Nunez families? Come on up. Thank you. I'm buying those. They aren't even for me, but that was fun. Thank you, and don't forget the little steak.
Okay. So make sure you guys, I'll get in the middle here. All right, once again, thank you, and congratulations on your award. So now we're going to have the Grand Terrace Women's Club present by Grand Terrace Women's Club President. Alba, you want come on up to the podium. There you go.
Hi, my name is Adele Lara, and I'm going to turn the podium over to our State Vice President, Wendy Curran.
And member living in Grand Terrace since 1983, and I joined the Women's Club in 1987. So, Adele did not also let you know she is our current president of the Women's Club. We have one of our past presidents here, Debbie Earl, longtime member. And ladies, if other ladies from the club, please raise your hand so the council members know we're in the house tonight. Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and council members. Tonight, members of the Grand Terrace Women's Club are in attendance to share some information with you, as well as share our activities to help make our city, our state of California, the United States, and yes, even the world, a better place. First, let me present a few facts about who we are and what we do. The Grand Terrace Women's Club was founded July 21st, 1908, with 29 local women who felt, and this is a quote, a need of that broad culture that comes from literary and social intercourse. They decided to form a club, unquote. They met in the homes of members, many of whom were local growers' wives. And so it began. The Grand Terrace Women's Club is part of the San Bernardino District in Area D in California, which we think of mostly as Southern California. We are also a member of the California Federation of Women's Clubs. We are part of 220 clubs here in the state of California. Our federation was formed in 1900, and we are also a proud member of the General Federation of Women's Clubs, and they were founded in 1898. So we've been doing this a while. This year, we will celebrate 115 years of continuous service here in what is now the city of Grand Terrace. Prior to that, it was Grand Terrace, but we weren't a city. And our members over the many years have been there to help others. In addition to what we do outside of our community, here's some things we help bring to this community. You know, the local swimming pool at Terrace Hills Junior High? Grand Terrace Women's Club was a big supporter in helping get that here. We work to get the four-way stop sign at Mount Vernon and DeBerry, where there is a signal now. But when the junior high was there, we worked hard to get a four-way stop to make sure that our students were safe as they crossed the street. We raised funds to provide medical equipment for our local fire station. We've raised funds to place the original school bell and put it in a bell tower at Grand Terrace Elementary School when the bell might have been lost. But we raised funds and raised that bell tower. We also have provided, when we utilized the what we called lovingly the community center, we did such things as paint in the building very often. We purchased new drapes for the stage and for the windows, and we took care of the floors. We had a professional come in. They are wood floors, and we had a professional come in and help us maintain those. In addition, since 1985, the Grand Terrace Women's Club has helped families in need at Christmas time. This year, we again helped 4 families. We collect toys and other gifts along with gift cards and presented several things to each of the 4 families. Through the generosity of many who support our fundraising activities, we are able to keep this Christmas project going. Tonight, we're here to provide information about the many projects we supported in 2022. Each year, our members collect their volunteer hours, donations, and other pertinent data. That information is collected, totaled, put on our club's annual reports that go to the California Federation, where altogether all of those hours are accumulated throughout the state of California, and then they forward on to the General Federation of Women's Clubs. Each year, our club donates time, money, and we volunteer to make a difference, not just in our own community. As you will see in the information we have provided, we have participated in many diverse projects, both locally and internationally. Our members make a difference every time we volunteer or when we make a monetary donation. We believe that when we join together for good and hope, we bring out the best in all of us. The Grand Terrace Women's Club is always accepting new members. This year, we've increased our membership by 9 new members, and our total is now 43. We're excited. It would be fantastic to reach 60 or even 75 members. Might we also bring a request to the council this evening? Our club was honored in 2008 with a beautiful proclamation celebrating our club's 100th anniversary. As you are aware, we do not have any place to display this proclamation, and our club would like to ask if this could be hung somewhere here at City Hall or perhaps in the community room. We thank you for the time and for giving our club the opportunity to share with you tonight.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, the Senate.
Yeah, Bob. Yeah. Well, that's a beautiful proclamation. And I'm sure, where would you ladies like to put that? Hang it up at? Inside your community room or?
I'm grateful wherever.
Well,
Staff can work with them, find a location
Yeah,
that
well,
is prominent
staff.
and clearly displayed.
Yes, and thank you for coming out. And yeah, and I know Wednesdays when I come here for my meetings and stuff, I smell that good food and stuff. So I don't know, man. If you advertise what you guys are serving, but yeah, that's a blessing and that you have there. And thank you very much for everything you do. Any council members like to say anything on the Women's Club? Yeah. Ken?
Thank
Councilmember
you.
Henderson?
It wouldn't surprise me if the Grand Terrace Women's Club is the oldest and most successful institution in what is now the city of Grand Terrace. Many, many thanks for your contributions over the years. We look forward to many more.
Thank you. So it was a nice report. Read through it. Good job.
Yeah, it was a great report. And, you know, and I know you guys have a successful during our tree lighting ceremony. All the kids love those sugar cookies and stuff. And I see all the kids bouncing off the walls after they have them. But, you know, thank you for everything you guys do and stuff. And, you know, and, organizations like yourself, volunteers, you know, what makes the city great. And your long history of, you know, volunteering and the success that you have, just keep going. You know, I know sometimes it can be hard when membership's down, but then somehow it picks back up, you know, just getting the word out there, and that's what you need. But you guys are welcome to come to our council meetings anytime. And I'll be here, we'll be here, but, and then if you want to bring that food, I mean, we'll test it out if you want us to try it out for you. But yeah, and I know one of the close member, I'm married to her daughter, Billy Crow. I didn't want to embarrass her, but no, I hear about all the good stuff you guys do, and she tells me, and I know you guys do good stuff, and it's volunteers that stand up to do the call, and that's what made this city great, that's what made this country great, volunteers. So thank you, and you guys, God bless, and continue on doing everything you do. So thank you. Righty. So our next one's the consent calendar. The following consent calendar items are expected to be routine and non-controversial. They'll be acted upon the City Council at one time without discussion. Any council member, staff member, or citizens may request removal of an item from the consent calendar for discussion. Do we have any requests to remove any items for discussion? None? Staff, do you have anything to add on the consent calendar?
No changes, thank you.
No changes? All right, well, if we don't have any removals or any changes, we entertain a motion and a vote. Second?
I move adoption of the consent calendar.
Second.
So we have a motion by Councilmember Robles, a second by Councilmember Henderson. Please vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right. So now we're item D, public comment. This is an opportunity for members of the public to comment on any items not appearing on the regular agenda. Because of the restrictions contained in the California law, and the City Council may not discuss or act on any item not on the agenda, but may briefly respond to statements made or ask the questions for clarification. The mayor may also request a brief response from staff to questions arise during public comment, or may request the matter be agendized for future meetings. Madam City Clerk, we have any public comments?
Yes, we do. Bobby Forbes.
Bobby Forbes.
Good evening. Thank you to the Women's Club. I'm a member too, and I think they do a wonderful job. So today, I had some information brought before me regarding the sale of Vista Blue Mountain in Grand Terrace. Over $12 million is what it sold for, and you can look it up. That's not what bothers me. What bothers me is what I was told today through the grapevine, so I haven't confirmed it yet, is what it is now going to be. It is no longer going to be a senior facility. It is going to be kind of like a drug rehab and a place where the people coming out of jail will live, and it will not be gated. My heart is racing right now for about 3.5 hours since I've heard this. I'd like to know what council knows, what staff knows. I know buildings can sell. So while everyone in town is in an uproar about the hotel and an apartment complex, I might have to retire or sell my house and move, because I don't think I'm going to stay here if that's what comes. I'm almost without words tonight regarding this, and you all know I'm not usually without words. This bothers me. I'm sure it's going to hit the press at some point. I don't know who the owners are. It is in this article that I have in my phone, but I'm not going to read it to you. Please look it up. Another property that sold is where La Tiara Barber Salon used to be. That has sold, I'm told. I don't know if escrow closed, but there's going to be more development coming into town. So Barton Road's going to change. But this place that's going to come into Blue Mountain Vista is scary. You think our crime is a problem now? We only have one deputy now? This scares the heck out of me.
Thank you, Ms. Forbes. Any other?
Yes, sir. Margaret Gonzalez.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Margaret Gonzalez, and I am part of the Grand Terrace Community Coalition for Change. We're the ones sitting in the back. I am here today to share about our Walks for a Smoke-Free Grand Terrace. The coalition has started these walks with a goal to promote healthy activities while bringing awareness to the importance of having smoke-free outdoor spaces for families and communities together. We will participate in the Grand Terrace Walk on Blue Mountain and also have a couple of other dates for our walks that I would like to share with you and encourage you and anyone in Grand Terrace that is interested to join us. We will be hosting our walks on March 18th and April 1st from 3 to 5 p.m. at Richard Rollins Community Park. I have brought copies and flyers with me today, as well as folders with information to give to you as well. Again, my name is Margaret Gonzalez, and I am with the Grand Terrace Community Coalitions for Change. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Martha. You know we're having a walk at Blue Mountain this Saturday if your group wanted to join us.
We actually plan to be there, so yes.
Well, if you want to bring your flyers and stuff, but do something. All right. All right. Well, thank you. It was nice seeing you again.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your time.
Keep up the good work. All right.
And the last speaker you have is Cindy Bidney.
Ms. Bentley.
Hi, I'm Cindy Bidney. Actually, I think I'm duplicating what Bobby had to say. I'm getting phone calls also about the sale of that Mount Vernon assisted living. And for that reason, it's going to be used for people, ex-cons that are getting out of jail and drug addicts, a place to live. I also want to know if you know anything about it. You know anything about it? Thank you.
Thank you. Conrad, did you want to answer anything?
The facility has sold. From our discussions with the buyer, the intention is that they are using it for adult rehabilitation, not drug addicts, not convicts, adults with head injuries, not necessarily seniors or convalescent hospital, but adults that require care on a medical nature. It's not a rehab building, it's not a convict housing building. So they're changing the age bracket, not the purpose of the building.
Thank you for that clarification. Do we have any other?
No, Mayor, we do not.
All right. Well, public hearings, we have none. Unfinished business, we have none. New business, we pulled item 8, and we're going to item 9, which is the mid and year-end budget presented by our Finance Department. Go ahead, Cynthia. It's all yours.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name is Christine Clayton, and I'm the Finance Director. So every year we do a mid-year and year-end review. So this is our goal number 1. It's ensure our fiscal viability. And the purpose of this is to look at our mid-year actuals and our year-end projection, and if there are any proposed budget adjustments. And these mid-year actuals are as of December 31st, 2022. Okay. As of December 31st, 2022, the general fund operating revenues received were $2.9 million, or 39% of the approved budget of $7.6 million. Our general fund operating expenditures during the same time period were $3.1 million, which represented roughly 42% of the approved expenditures of $7.6 million. And on this slide, you can see our approved budget versus our December actuals. And right now, you will see a negative net, and that is due to our sales tax, which we get in arrears. We're always 2 months behind from the county, as well as property taxes. We only receive them twice a year. So it's actually a cash flow, not that we're actually behind. Now on to our year-end projections. So as you can see in our year-end projections, we're projecting almost $9 million. And that's a variance of $1.3 million to budget. And you will see a negative for property taxes and sales tax. And that is due our HDL consultants feeling that there's going to be a decrease through the year due to inflation. You will also see an increase of $166,000 for charges for services, and this is for building and planning services. Right below that, there's a negative of $32,000 for fines and forfeitures, and this is in code enforcement. We no longer have them following the street sweeper handing out tickets. So we did away with that, so that's where the $32,000 negative comes in. The $15,000 for miscellaneous, staff is working diligently to code the costs as well as revenue in the category they belong in, rather than just stick it in miscellaneous. And at the bottom, you will see proceeds from sale of property. That's the $1.2 million for the sale of the firehouse. Now on to our expenditures. So as you can see, against our budget, we're going to be roughly $92,000 over. And for the city manager, you'll see a $76,000 negative. That is because we are contributing to the purchase of an electric bus. So therefore, that made that category negative. You'll see under planning and development services, we have a positive $353,000 to the good. That is because we're saving on consulting services. Staff is doing the services that consultants did for us in the past. Under public works, there's a negative of $273,000, and that is to resurfacing 3 playgrounds, getting park lights, redoing the baseball field at Veterans Park, so various projects throughout the city. Under law enforcement, you see a negative of $144,000 over the budget, and that's the $55,000 increase for the supplemental A cost, as well as, let me get this right, LADAR guns for the force. And so that's where the $92,000 overage is from. And here you can see it in better picture. So you have your year-to-date projection of roughly $9 million. You have our projected expenses of $7.7 million. And we have a net of $1.2 million, almost $1.3 million. And compared to budget, $1.2 million. And I put this slide in, this takes out the fire station. So we have our overage of revenue, $1.3 million. If we back out the proceeds from the fire station of $1.2 million, we're left with $139,000. If we back out the expenditure overage, we still have a net of $42,000 to the good that will go into reserves.
So thank you. As you can see, we did fairly well so far this year. We've managed our expenses dramatically. We've managed our revenue fairly well. So we're projected to be about $630,000 on the good, on the expense side. And as Christine said, a big chunk of that is managing our consulting costs. We've done big pieces of that. You can see, I'm going to run through some of this. We've taken our front counter staff, cross-trained them in multiple areas. We're cutting down on overtime. We're eliminating contract services. We've entered in the heating and air conditioning contract for service. That's significantly reduced our maintenance costs on that. We've managed our legal costs. We've done security lighting. We have lights on in the ball fields later on into the night, even though the park is closed, because we're getting a lot of vandalism in the parks in the early evening. So we're doing that to manage our vandalism, manage that cost. Simple things, rather than paying somebody to come out and on a per basis do work in the air. Our public works guys rented a lift truck and they did replace light bulbs, clean camera lenses, did all these kind of things all in one pass to reduce those costs. Both planning and public works has dramatically reduced the amount of consultants that we pay for. Shift in the planning portion for big chunks of that, shifting that burden off to the developer. where it should be. If the developer's going to do that, that's a cost of development. In the past, the city has paid for big pieces of that. You know, we're managing 9 grants and through various programs throughout the city. And, you know, Trevor, who's done a wonderful job, restructured his workflow on the accounts payable side so that he can have time to do analysis of some of our projects. One of those things was looking on what Lewis owed us for doing environmental work for them that the city had paid, and that's probably our biggest part of the revenue increase, where, you know, we sent a bill to Lewis for almost $150,000, which they were glad to pay, to increase that revenue. So we offset that. And, you know, little things. You know, Luis, our building inspector, backfills animal control when they're out to cut down on overtime. We've got our counter clerk in the building department, cross-training as a building inspector. So we're kind of cutting down all this outside services, keeping the activities internal. So with that, you know, there's a big chunk of money there that we're to the positive. And, you know, our job is not to get as much money from the taxpayers and put it in reserves as possible. Our job is to get this money, spend it appropriately, diligently, intelligently, and then utilize it for services and things that the community needs and is looking for. So some of the things that we wanted to do this budget year and we couldn't, we're coming back with. We have a grant to purchase an electric bus to replace the city bus we have now. That's been in the shop now for several months. It really is at end of life. The grant covers about $150,000 of that. The vehicle is about $300,000. So we're going to use part of that to backfill that bus and get that thing installed. We also have a grant from funds from Omnitrans to put a charging station in the back in the yard so we can charge that bus. We have 3 playgrounds. All of their play surfaces are somewhere between miserable and atrocious. We didn't have the money this year to really attack it as a whole. We did some patching here and there. The patches have worked in places, but some of these are just so bad that the patching, you know, like a pair of pants. At some point you can patch, but they don't patch anymore. So we're looking at replacing the 3 playground surfaces, resurfacing the baseball field at Veterans Park. Our Little League and our baseball teams are remarkably successful in the region, and it would be nice to give them a decent playing surface and a nice home to play on. We're sending our kids to these all-star games, and they're winning. They're bringing back trophies, and to give them a home field that they can be proud of is important. We've got about $250,000 of public works vehicles sitting in the parking lot, tractors and loaders that are in the weather. The seats are rotting out of them. They're exposed to the elements. I want to get covers over the top of them so that we can preserve that investment. If we all look up, we can see the lights that are out in here. These went in when the building was built. It's almost impossible to find replacement bulbs. The fixtures are so old, so we're looking at replacing the lighting in here. The Women's Club in the community room have done a great job in maintaining that room and taking good care of it, but the flooring has reached its end. So we'd like to put some resilient hard flooring in there and replace the carpet, pull out that nasty partition, and then we're also purchasing some tables and chairs to replace those in there and get a usable space for anybody, not just the Women's Club, but anybody that wants to use that. Also, with that, we're looking at some keying and entry systems so that we can give people key cards that they can get into that facility after hours. There are groups that would like to use that as a meeting space for after hours. Right now we're locked into when city staff is here, so we're exploring mechanisms that we can issue a key card and then give them access to that space for different hours. I think it'll really open it up for what the communities would like to use that for. You know, a scanner for the building department, more lighting for the ballparks, security lighting at the parks, certainly. And then the last one that we want to do is that trash enclosure at Veterans Park. When you walk up, You see the trash enclosure, and once you get past the trash enclosure, you can actually see the monument memorial to the veterans. We'd rather not put the veterans behind the trash pile, so we're looking at relocating that. So those are the big projects. We've got a couple of little bits and pieces in there. These are all things that we wanted to do last year or this year for budget, and we've scrimped and saved, just like you do at home. You scrimp and save, and then when you do, you get to buy nice things and do nice things, and that's one of the things we're doing. So, are there any questions from either Christine on the numbers or for me on what we're proposing?
Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. City Manager, from what you've just described, and if I understand it correctly, the funds that you'll be asking the council to appropriate for these activities are one-time costs as opposed to recurring costs. Is that a correct assessment?
Correct. We were able to manage our one-time expenses this year. We shed some costs, and we're going to use it as one-time expenses. We're not adding people, we're not adding programs.
Thank you.
Councilmember Robles.
So we went through this long process. Okay. Is that your mother-in-law? So we went through all this of unwinding the bond debt for redevelopment agencies that we no longer had the legal authority to spend. So there's supposed to be a residual of $1.6 million. What happened to it?
The residual from the bond, it got spent somewhere. And you asked me that earlier in the week or last week, and I'm still tracing down where that is. But that is not part of our budget. And whoever did that in 2018 did not create a special fund or did not create any type of a special place to put that money. That money got put into general fund, I'm assuming, and it is part of our general fund reserve.
Because I don't recall, I mean, we took an action. I mean, I didn't pull the agenda item, but, you know, I had the screenshot of all the things that we said that was a workshop, open to the public, and we said, and we took a vote. These are priorities. So here we are, 2 city managers next, because we had an interim, and now we went through all this effort to take money back that was being spent on developers that would come in here and tell you they could make miracles shake from trees, but all they did was they took our tax money, and then all we did was squander it because we had no legal authority to spend it, and we paid $1.5 million in interest payments. So now we come to here and there's no money. So I'd like to know how incrementally from a base budget, what budget items that were that big ticket that we incrementally approved. We had to approve these expenditures.
So as I told you, I'm working through the details on that. I did go through the list you provided me, and for the most part, other than a median on La Cadena and Barton Road, or the Mount Vernon slope stabilization, which was a fraction of a grant that nobody did any work on and the state pulled back, the rest of those projects are completed.
And then we've yet to have any youth ad hoc committee meeting to see what revenues that we could look at. So and maybe you do speak to me, but we're going to speak in front of the public here because they're not privy to what we discuss. So it might seem tedious to you, but that's what we're going to do. So I think we deserve to know how this money, because that was the residual, and then we were going to get somewhere in the range of $400,000, $500,000 in return property tax coming back permanently to the base. And so all of a sudden we're teetering on a small little bit of money, less than $50,000. Yeah, because the way I see government is we were elected, we sit here, and the public comes and provides public input, and we deliberate. But I'm kind of getting the feeling now that things are happening, and maybe we're seeing things piecemeal, and we're not seeing the big picture, and we're spending away our priorities. So we just kind of need a forensic overview and how we ended up there, and see how we can get out how that happened. That's all I have.
So, Councilman Rollis, do you want to recommend an ad hoc committee on this for future, or?
No, I think
you want to talk about?
I think we can just let the staff figure it out.
All right. No other questions? Councilman Henderson.
I wasn't here during the time period that Councilmember Robles discussed as to the residual from the bonded indebtedness. I believe what the city manager has indicated, it in fact took place, unbeknownst possibly to the council, that it wound up in the general fund and went through the typical general fund budgeting and expenditure process. If I understand what I've heard this evening correctly, the overage is largely the proceeds from the sale of the fire station, correct?
Well, we're two different things. So the 2018 discussion, since most of those projects are done, I'm assuming they were done through the general, as you said, through the general fund and typical council approval process, and we will do the forensics on that as Councilman Robles requested. For the mid-year, this specific mid-year, yes, the primary 1.2 million is from the sale of the fire station, and I think we pulled that out in our discussion, so we're not treating that as far as I'm concerned, that's not money, it does not exist. That is as we have committed part of that to investment for OPEB and to pay down the PERS requirement, and the remainder is in reserves.
So the projects that you discussed earlier regarding new surfacing in parks and security lighting and things of that sort, would the overage from the sale of the fire station finance those activities if approved by the council?
No. All those activities come from, and if you go back to we'll go to the revenue piece. There's a charge for services, that $166,000. We sent a bill to Lewis to recover what we have paid for their development costs. So that is revenue from Lewis that was unplanned this year. And then on the go back a little to the cost. Where's Christine's numbers here? That's 600,000 on the. Keep going. So we have. Let me get to the right place here. Keep one more. Right there. So if you take with 50% of our expenditures this year, and if you look at our general fund expenditures, was supposed to be 3.16 million is what we've expended now. It's only 41% of what we budgeted. Projecting through the rest of the year, we'll run about that 41%. We'll continue through, which will leave us about $600,000 of unspent money in this budget year. We're not going into reserves. We're not pulling anything back. This is money we budgeted this year, and we've managed to save that much money. And I want to use this year's money for this year's projects.
So it's as though we didn't, it's as though the $1.2 million, as you indicated, doesn't exist for the purposes of this discussion.
As far as an operating discussion, it does not exist.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Mr. City Manager.
Councilman Robles.
So what is it? How did we overspend money we had to give budget authority to overspend money. Did we overspend money?
Where did we overspend
It
money?
says revenue overreach. Are you saying?
That
so-
means money that came in, not money that we spent.
Exactly. So then why is it showing, is it netting out with the fire station proceeds?
Where are you at?
Packet page 393.
There? So is that the one you're asking about?
Yeah.
So we had performed work for Lewis that was approved by the council. We have an agreement with Lewis that says they will reimburse us for it. They had never reimbursed us for that. We went back and got that money. That's the $200 and some thousand of revenue overage.
No, I'm looking at 1.399.
1.339? So that is the money from Lewis that we went back and clawed back from them and the fire station.
Okay, so.
And then on this slide, we back out the fire station.
Okay, we have to 1.6 million then in residual funds that I don't remember programming into anything. Next, when I asked you for that sheet, then you said, oh, well, we didn't know where the bonds coming back to us were going to end up. And they ended up that you could put them in the general fund, so they're put in the general fund. So we had to have approved, given budget authority for a million plus things.
At some point between 2018 and today, it's very possible that the council gave budget authority to do project after project after project, which checked off those items on that list.
Okay, so then I think it's important to our city attorney to understand then if we had a workshop and a packet agenda item that said these are our priorities, and then somewhere on the priorities don't mean nothing until the city manager comes with their priority, and we don't have a longitudinal concept of what that is. And I'm going to compare it to the Board of Supervisors when I worked there, and the budget was always late, and the counties couldn't get going with their budget until they knew what Sacramento was going to do. So the county decided, well, they'll just upfront the cash flow and keep moving with their budget. And then when it would come, there was a county thing this many years ago that said, any more that money that comes from the state that's in excess of $275,000, you have to go back to the Board of Supervisors for new budget authority. So instead of the staff coming to the Board of Supervisors with, okay, now the Sacramento budget's done, let's have a global look at what you want to do, they were giving these things piecemeal without understanding what it was until someone blew the whistle on it. And that changed, how things were going to go through. So we're supposed to be the policy makers. So we need to see the big picture. We need to know. It'd be like you could do a purchase order if you exceeded your spending authority. Because if you already had something in a certain line item that wasn't supplies, wasn't general supplies 2000 series, you have to have budget authority. And so we gave some budget authority while a legislative action was taken for priorities for spending that money, and we're not being told, and that's going to make us less effective.
In my review of what I have seen so far with the 3 meetings and the staff reports, there was no appropriation involved in that. There was a list of priorities and a price tag tied to them. There was no money earmarked, tagged, or specifically tied to those projects.
Right, or else it would have ended up in the audit. So then, you weren't here, but we're setting priorities and they don't mean anything.
I disagree with you.
Well, I disagree back.
Okay, we could probably disagree all day.
I'm
Any
ready
other
for it.
questions, Councilman Robles, before we get into comments?
No.
Okay. Do we have any public comment?
No, Mayor.
Okay. So what I'm getting, Councilman Robles, what I always had issues was, and I understand where she's coming from, 2018, I don't remember what we agreed on 2018. Stuff keeps happening, there's red tape, and then all of a sudden it gets brought out to we okay that. So I said, we need to be brought up to speed, what's coming, what's still in the works, what the council approved, so we can know what, because we have there's a council member that wasn't even here that approved something probably in 2018. So we just need to keep abreast on that and keep refreshing us on, the progress and the process of what's going on in there. I think that's one of the biggest issues we have. And to get that, like the big ticket, because I know it was, and I'm remembering, some stuff that we talked about, the baseball park, and then when we agreed on the playground, the council approved that extra budget instead of having, what was it, that chip bark down there? That we had that, and then now we were told that playground's going to last for at least 10 years, and it didn't. Unfortunately, kids went over there and destroyed it. We tried to put up a handicap swing, and it got destroyed. That was a grant from the state. So, unfortunately, somebody doesn't respect stuff. And so now we have to earmark that money to replace that so no other kids get hurt, and that money could have went for something else. So, City Manager, I would come up with, just doing that priority, what we agreed on. I agree with Councilman Rose. I mean, we went and disillusioned the RDA, and it's money we want to know what's going. Not saying, you just do the research and find it where it went. And it could have, went somewhere that we forgot all about or went somewhere that we didn't approve. Not saying that you pushed it through. So we could just do that to bring us all up to speed and just keep us abreast on the projects that are going on. Because like I said, we forget. We forget sometimes, hey, we approved that or we didn't approve that. Or why is that there? Just give us a reason. It's a big ticket item. Why do we need that? Well, it's for safety. All right. So we have no public comment. You guys have any other public or any comments or questions? Councilman Robles?
No, I mean, with SCAG and SBCTA, I'm thinking we may have some agenda items and some protocols that if somebody's going to bring to us, what are your priorities for spending X, then they should be encumbered unless the council says no, we don't want to encumber them. And then 2, we had agenda items that would say, okay, this is where the money was originally from. This is what, was either unprogrammed or programmed, and we're moving it around, but we need to be being able to see the scoreboard on this stuff.
So my intention is this is mid-year, so as we go into the budget, we're starting the budget cycle for next year, is that we have at least one budget workshop with council to make sure that we get the priority items correct so that those things hit where they're supposed to hit, and that as we get into that budget is approved, then we can not encumber, but we can allocate funds for those specific projects that are earmarked for them, and that we make sure that those things get done. And I think that that's an important piece to do. I don't think it's been done in the past. I know last budget year I tried to hit it and we were under the gun, and I was still learning. So I think this year at least one workshop to work with council to make sure that we hit the priorities, because some of those things are, I'm guessing, 10 or 12 years old. The 2018 priorities didn't come out of thin air. So at some point, those were existing priorities as well. So to make sure that we check those boxes and not just keep spinning our wheels, I think is an important thing to do.
Councilman Henderson, you have anything else?
No, sir.
Councilman Robles, nothing else? Okay, this is a receive and file. Do we need to make a motion and a vote on this, or just receive and file? City Attorney. Do we need to make a motion and vote?
I'll make the motion, Mr. Mayor, to receive and file.
Okay. I'll second. Please vote.
Motion.
Okay.
Unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steen, for your hard work, and Conrad, appreciate it. All right, future requests for future agenda items by City Council, none. City Council communications, Councilmember Henderson, you have anything you'd like to?
Nothing to report at this time, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Councilmember Robles?
No, I'll be reporting next meeting.
All right, well, I guess I'll report something here. So I went to the League of Cities, our quarterly meeting. I'm on the committee there, and we went to Fontana, and believe it or not, we went to the Women's Club in Fontana. And I remember going by that Women's Club when I was a kid, and it was pretty run down, but they really did a good job building that back up, so it's really nice. And when you go, and I know one of the things here in Grand Terrace is like, well, you know, this is a bedroom community, and, you know, it used to be like this and that, and I still see, you know, some of the stuff in Fontana, but I remember all the old Fontana and stuff, and how they did build that up, and how you have to, you know, I remember when they put the McDonald's and the Motel 6, and then they had the high-rise senior place, and everybody was up in arms. Back then, it was back in the 70s and stuff, but I look at the buildings and I see, you know, the remarkable things they're doing, and I would love to see, and I know we've been talking about, you know, our community center one day, you know, so hopefully the Women's Club will be celebrating, you know, maybe, hopefully not that long, you know, I was going to say 200 years, but I hope it's not going to take that long, but, you know, for the new Women's Club, but anyway, we see that, and I was impressed, and we talked about, I didn't have his last name, his first name is Jim. He was assembly member and a senator in Rancho Cucamonga. He's retired now, but he was talking about politics back in the 38 to 64 and how both sides of the parties actually came to agree on stuff, and now how everything on the left and everything's on the right, nobody wants to come to the center. So it was interesting, his conversation on that, and that's what we got to do. We got to agree to, you know, if we don't agree to disagree and just work together for the betterment of everybody. And I know we stand our grounds and stuff, but we also have to look at the big picture. And that overall big picture is, you know, taking care of, you know, our future needs and our present needs. So, and that was one thing I think was lost, and hopefully it'll come back to local and state government, even federal government. And then I attended the groundbreaking ceremony. I haven't been by that area in a long time, Gage Park. I know a lot of people remember Gage Park, and they remember the power plant there, and they remember the old sign there. And unfortunately, it's run down now. It's not Gage Park anymore, but bless you. Believe it or not, they're having a battery storage facility there called Condor Energy Storage Project, and it's a pretty good facility. It's right there by the power plant, and it's pretty big, intense project, but it's also for, you know, so we'll stop rolling blackouts and everything else, and we're going to be a main hub. But I told him, I go, well, funny you guys have this groundbreaking today because Grand Terrace just had a blackout. You know, so I think they planned that. I don't know, just to prove their point. But it's a pretty good project. So if you see, it's still in some, it's got some hiccups and some planning phases, but it's going to add, you know, it's part of the green energy thing. And then I go, well, where'd you get the name Condor? And I guess the head guy likes birds. I go, well, that's funny you're doing that because most of Grand Terrace's name, you know, the roads are birds and stuff. So, but that's going to be over there by the high school, by the power facility. So if you see that, and, you know, it's a pretty nice design. And as soon as they get all their ducks in a row there. And then, so after that, I asked the city manager, we went and looked at a homeless encampment over there where they just, by the bridge, where they just tore down the metal shed. That encampment was abandoned, but we found two other tents that were actually somebody occupying it, and we had the sheriff come out. Now our sheriffs, they don't just go there and kick them out. We do offer resources. You know, we do treat them, you know, with respect and humanity and stuff. So we do offer them. It's up to them to take it. But I stayed there with the sheriff, you know, the young deputy, you know, just, you know, prior law enforcement, and it's nice to have backup. You know, doing something by yourself, something as easily going to tell somebody that they need to move, something could happen. So that worries me at night. You know, I know that's always a big priority in the city, is to have, you know, more sheriff presence. And the state, you know, our sheriffs and officers keep doing stuff, and the state lets people out. But, we're trying to keep this place safe, and not only for the residents, but for our men and women who are out there protecting us and all our first responders. So when we look at, go back to Fontana development and stuff, and that's one of the main priorities why that development, it's for our future. And I don't want to get into that, the mountain assisted living, but it was Brookdale one time, so the city, we have no control who's buying and selling that stuff, and I don't know what the all outcome and stuff, but I know how rumors get started, and it gets on Facebook, and then it just blows up, and then one thing led to another. So, be open-minded about it when they come down with it and all the facts and information. That's all we could do. I mean, my phone's already blowing up asking me questions on Facebook. I can't respond to that because I don't know the answers until what Conrad just told me, what you guys have said. I don't look at that. So, but and also I want to thank the Sheriff's Department for that young deputy. Just like I said, we had a shooting, and these men and women don't wake up in the morning and say, I want to go shoot somebody. They wake up because they want to go home to their families and their friends and loved ones. But that sheriff also put himself in harm's way to protect other people. So, thank God the sheriff didn't get hurt. I know it's an ongoing investigation, but you never know what's going to happen. You never know. And then when I talked to Lieutenant Lane, hopefully he'll come up and reemphasize this, but I know we've been having some scares, got a community, about calling up the schools for the, school shootings and stuff. There might be a shooter and stuff. You're going to get that everywhere, unfortunately. Now there's something, I think they call it swag or something like SWAT. Yeah, so somebody's doing something, but you know what? Our first responders still got to respond because when somebody call her wolf, you still have to be there. And, we don't want that. And I know it could be very nerve-wracking, fearful, scary. I had kids. I have grandkids, and unfortunately, the world has changed, and we just, got to put our faith in God and keep going, and, just, hopefully nothing happens. But I know we talked about, we have some kind of things, maybe with the school board we could work out, but if Lieutenant Lane wants to reemphasize that before the city manager, I'll give him a chance to explain, put people at ease. But, and I got Omnitran meeting tomorrow, and I know we have a lot of meetings anywhere. I know Councilman Robles is pretty busy with her meetings, but I want to when I'm sitting here and listening to our budget and stuff and going, and I want to thank the council for their input. They're right here, and our city staff. We want to do get as much for our dollar as we can, and like I said, we want to see our city thrive. We want to see it grow. We want to see it grow the right way. Sometimes it gets out of hand. Some people, they start saying stuff, but we want to do what's best for the city. We're doing this for the city. We live here too. We want what's best. But and I think that's all I have as far as public comment. But if you do see groundbreaking, I don't know exactly when it's going to happen, but it'll be by the high school. It's nothing toxic. It's already been through environmental reports and everything, so it's a safe environment. So, Lieutenant Lane, did you want to say something about?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Yeah, the deputy is back to work. He's doing well. He took some mandatory time off for a couple days, and we put him through some visits with doctors and whatnot to make sure that heads are in the right places when they go back to work. And he's doing well. He didn't have any issues, or doesn't appear to have any lingering issues from that event. So we'll keep our fingers crossed for him. It was a totally unfortunate set of circumstances, but in the end, he did what he had to do to protect himself. So, with regards to this whole swatting concept, it started a couple years ago. It's referred to that because people began making false calls to not just schools, but to a variety of locations that would falsely report something that would prompt SWAT to respond, thinking that there was maybe a hostage situation or something critical like that. And then maybe with the hopes of seeing SWAT take some action there, as a result of that, and then it ended up being just a completely false story. So that idea of swatting is still occurring. It happens everywhere. It's typically somebody who just, for whatever reason, targets a location, happened at the high schools and the middle school, not just around in the city, but elsewhere. And again, when those calls come in through dispatch, we go because we don't know what it is. It's a huge drain of resources. It's not just the deputies that are in the city that are responding. They're coming from Loma Linda. They're coming from Colton. They're coming from the casino. Everywhere that we have people in the area, they're coming. So on one hand, it's a way of taking us away from our other duties, maybe for opportunities of putting us all in one location to divert us from something else that may happen elsewhere. The numbers in these cases, most recently, were computer-generated false numbers, so they were like robo numbers that could not be traced back to anybody. So the investigation is pretty much at a dead end in terms of trying to figure out, who placed the calls. But shortly after we responded and handled the calls here in the city and deemed everything safe, they were calling in locations elsewhere. So it's just one of those things that unfortunately law enforcement all over the country is having to deal with. There's just not enough of us to go around, and people like to have fun with us. But, to your point, we're going to go anyways. We're going to go make sure that everybody's safe and that there isn't something a little bit more, legitimate happening. Real quickly, back on the homeless that you mentioned, thank you again for your support and your help out there. It's always good to know that we've got a back nearby. And I just wanted to reiterate to everybody, when it comes to the homeless, we have the HOPE team in the department. They started this HOPE program that took off nationwide. And those guys that are out there are in this city weekly, if not many times during the week. And they know all of these people that are homeless around here. They have offered and offered and offered many times for services. They have all kinds of things at their disposal. And people just choose not to take them up on those offers. And I think I even presented in a meeting some time ago that statistically speaking, it takes about 75 attempts of offering services before a homeless person would actually accept those services. So it's a very long process. There's a lot of trust issues that are occurring. The HOPE program is working on, building trust with a lot of these people. But some just have it in their head that that's just not what they want to do. They want to live the way they live, and we can offer and offer and offer, and they just would prefer not to accept. So those are the folks that we keep contacting on a regular basis. We're getting to know who these people are. Our regular deputies who are not necessarily HOPE team deputies, but they're very well versed in the HOPE program and what its mission is. They're doing the work of the HOPE team every single day with every single complaint or call that comes in of, somebody sitting in front of a store, on Barton. So we're very much aware of it. We're doing everything that we can as law enforcement, as an agency to assist with this, community problem that's much larger than we are. So but I appreciate your words. I appreciate you recognizing that we're really out there trying, and we do understand that sometimes jail is not always the answer. But that's the goal, anyways, and. We're just going to keep continuing to do the good work, but I appreciate your sentiments.
Thanks, Lieutenant Lane, for lighting us up. And I know you have a coffee with a cop coming up March 16th at Get Loaded at 9 a.m. So somebody, if you're available to answer questions or ask questions, it's good support. And I wonder if one day we could have one during the evening or something maybe here, so that way people who work all day, they could have it.
Yeah, we're, I guess, sort of naturally speaking, for me, coffee is more of a morning thing. So I kind of aim for that.
Iced tea and.
But yeah, we can do something else. We can do ice cream with a cop, dessert with a cop, something like that. But yeah, thanks again. Conrad was going to talk about it, but Get Loaded, Guns and Ammo reached out to me to host it. So we're going to take them up on their offer. We're very excited to be there. So 9 o'clock on the 16th. They've got a training center that's, I guess, off to the side of their main showroom that will give us a little bit more elbow room than some of the other locations we've been at recently. So we're looking forward to seeing as many folks out there as we can. And you know, you grab a cup of coffee. I think there'll be pastries there. So grab a coffee, grab a donut, and grab a cup and start asking away. So look forward to seeing everybody.
So you're not giving out free ammunition or anything that day? Or something?
Well, it's a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be there if you did.
Yeah. So
All right,
anyways.
Well, thank you. I'm sorry, Conrad, if I took away your thunder, but yeah.
That's all right. There's plenty more to go around. So on Saturday at 8 o'clock, we'll be doing the Blue Mountain Hike, our annual event. So I hope to see as many of you possible. When I'm on the top, I'm taking the gator up. The rest of you can walk. We're doing a workshop for the ODS on the 14th, Executive Design Standards, at 4 p.m. here in council chambers prior to the council meeting, so that we can do some education on that all the way around. And then just to kind of dovetail into the discussion on the homeless, over the last 8 months, we've spent about $40,000 on clearing homeless camps and creating spaces that are less homeless friendly. We've had a really bad area down off Barton Road on the city limits with Colton, where we essentially removed all the vegetation, cleaned up the trash multiple times, have had the sheriffs intervene with dozens of homeless out there, and we finally created a physical environment that's not really conducive to them camping there. And the sweet lady Layla that was handing out landscaping awards isn't quite that pleasant when you're camping on city property. So we've been fairly successful there, and we're looking at under the bridge on Barton Road. So if you are homeless and watching under the bridge at Barton Road, it's probably time to move on, because that's our next place that we'll be working at. And then one more time to reiterate what the lieutenant said. Please don't feed the homeless. Please don't give them money. Please don't encourage them. And if there's an issue, please call into dispatch so that we can get the call logged and get a real number of what our interactions are, and they can get the right people out there to interact with them and get them into the resources that they need. Thank you.
Thank you. And one thing I forgot to remind, we still have sandbags available at the fire department, and I think you can allow 10 apiece or something. But if you do need sandbags, they're free. There's a cone out there that fill it up, but they won't fill them for you. But you're welcome to. But if you do have problems filling up, just email me. I'll give you a hand. But there are sandbags out there. So before we go into closed session, we have our closed session is going to be conference with legal counsel existing litigation in pursuit of the Government Code Section 5495.6.9, case name Sunny Days versus the City of Grand Terrace, case number CIV SB 2107692. And then we'll be also talking about a conference with legal counsel existing litigation in pursuit of the Government Code. It's again 54956.9. Case name Ben Elberg, an individual versus Grand Terrace. Case number CIV SB 2200100. And I know a lot of you guys won't be waiting for us here. I know you want to. But once again, thank you, Women's Club, for coming out, and we'll make sure we get that beautiful proclamation to honor you up there on the wall. And everybody have a safe and stay dry. We still got rain coming, and God bless. Closed session. Wow, they didn't even turn off the light. Okay, we're going to reconvene to open session and report out for closed session. There's no reportable actions. City Attorney, you have anything to respond?
For the two items for the Sunny Days lawsuit and Islandberg, updates provided, however, no action taken. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right. So our next regular city council meeting will be held Tuesday, March 14th at 6 p.m. Any request to have an item placed on future agenda must be made in writing and submitted to the city clerk's office and request the process in accordance with the council procedures. So I want to thank everybody. Have a good night. Be safe.